activating learners as owners of their own learning. There is no doubt that self-assessment is really important. As students become able to assess themselves, they become able to look after their own learning. They become, in the psychological jargon, self-regulating learners. So they're able to advance their learning even when there's nobody to help. So there's no doubt that this is a worthy goal. However, we need to understand how difficult it is to reach this goal because of what we're learning about self-assessment. We've always known that self-reports are not particularly accurate or particularly reliable. A recent survey of American drivers found that 93% of American drivers thought they were above average, better than average. They can't all be right. We used to think this was because people didn't want to admit they were below average. But in fact, now we understand there's something else going along. Justin Kruger and David Dunning, two psychologists, gave their students a test of logical reasoning and then asked the students to rate where their score would rank with their classmates. And what they found was that the students who were actually in the bottom 25% of their class in terms of their logical reasoning thought they were above average. This result has now been replicated many times. It's now known as the Dunning-Kruger effect. The less you know about something, the more likely you are to overstate your level of knowledge. And so one of the reasons that people overestimate how good they are as driving is because they don't want to admit it, but the biggest factor is they don't know enough about good driving to know that they're not very good drivers. This is really important when we come to look at self-assessment, because what drives me crazy in schools is teachers ask students to say, everyone okay with that? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Teachers say, let's go from fist to 5. So students are meant to indicate their confidence with a response by a fist meaning not at all confident and 5 meaning very confident. The point is that is not formative assessment, as far as I'm concerned, because the quality of the evidence you have is very poor. Those students who really don't understand don't know that they don't understand. As David Dunning himself says, rule 1 of Dunning-Kruger Club is you don't know you're in Dunning-Kruger Club. So that's what drives me crazy about people saying, let's give kids colored cups, or let's ask them to do a traffic light. Green if you understand, yellow if you're not so sure, red if you have no idea what's going on. The point is that students who are really struggling may not know that they don't understand. And so what's really important in terms of this strategy of activating students as owners of their own learning is to anchor those responses. One way to do it is to say, don't signal green unless you're ready to teach this to somebody else, which makes students a lot more cautious. But I would say we should go further and let's actually have concrete examples of what it means to understand, and then you can actually assess your understanding against this level of understanding. So one of the ways you can do this with red and green discs, for example, is simply to ask students, for the youngest students, hold up a red disc if you think the answer is wrong, put up a green disc if you think the answer is correct. So you can write a sentence up on a board, which may or may not be correctly punctuated, and ask the whole class to hold up either a red or a green disc. Gives the teacher very high quality information about who's getting it and who's not, so you can respond then to their learning needs. Other techniques you can use are things like colored cups. So in elementary schools, we've seen quite a useful technique of giving every group of students 3 cups, red, yellow, green. Green means we're okay. We're working as a group, we're making progress. Yellow means we have a question, but it's not stopping us from working. Red means we're stuck and we can't make any progress until somebody comes to help us. And teachers have found they're able to manage their time much more effectively in the classroom by having these kinds of signals or codes that students can use to say what kind of support they need in their learning. For older students, you can push it a bit further. So I saw a nice example in an AP calculus classroom where every student is given 3 cups, green, yellow, red. And at the beginning of the session, the green cup is outermost. If you want to signal to the teacher you're getting a bit lost and left behind, you show the yellow cup. If you want to stop the lesson and ask a question, you just show the red cup. Why would anyone show a red cup? Because in this classroom, the rule is, as soon as one student shows a red cup, the teacher stops the lesson, picks another student at random, and whoever is selected has to come out to the front of the class to answer the question being posed by the student who showed the red cup. This teacher describes what she's doing as converting her classroom into one gigantic game of chicken. And her current problem is the students are stopping the lesson all the time. In fact, she's had to introduce a new rule: no student can stop the lesson more than once. If you want to stop it a second time, get your neighbour to do it. But I think students who are stopping the lesson saying, I don't get it, are problems we should want to have, because it shows you the students are thinking about their learning, they're engaging, they're monitoring their own progress, and giving the teacher information that helps the teacher meet their learning needs more effectively.